Hey, so there has been, oh my gosh, I thought the earth just shook again. But there has been an earthquake here in Kumamoto. It occurred like the big one, which was of a 7.1 magnitude, happened yesterday at around 4:27 p.m. At the time, I was on my table at my table, figuring out what how to make prints of my art, as you can see. Um, and just as I was researching and diving into that and looking into places here in the city where I could go to get them, scanned and so on, um, the earth shook. So usually what happens is, because I have experienced earthquakes here, I've been living here for like 6.5 years. So in my time here, I have experienced earthquakes. And usually what happens is you have this alarm that goes like choo, choo, choo. That's the best way to describe it. And it usually goes off right before the earthquake occurs. Oh, that scared me. It's my rice cooker. Um, anyway, it usually goes off right before the earthquake like starts, and the earthquake lasts usually just like a couple seconds, and it's more they're different kinds. Some will just go like they will rattle you, kind of like, um, and then others go like that, yeah. And most of the times, the short ones that I've experienced just go, and you're just like, oh, an earthquake is happening. And some do occur where, the building is shaking and whatnot. But yeah, the alarm goes first and then some movement, and the alarm's sound is very just scary. It makes you alert essentially. But this time around, I, in my opinion, I think the earthquake went first. So I noticed the earth move, and then my alarm went off. And I think in my mind, it felt as though the earthquake itself just drowned all the sound that there was, all the sound of the alarm, all the sound of just everything else. I in that moment I just stood up from my chair, and my brain was trying to gauge what kind of earthquake it is and how long it will be, if I need to get into action, which I mean I need to get into action, but like, I don't know, those who have experienced earthquakes here in Japan maybe might understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, no, it was scary, but my brain was trying to get through it logically by saying, I remember thinking of my cats, because I have two cats. I remember thinking of my cats and looking at them and seeing them just scram under the bed. And then I'm like, I need to get under the table, because this was, the building was literally like, oh my gosh. And I don't know, reports say it was like 20 to a minute long, or like, I don't know, but it felt long. And in that moment, as I'm trying to figure out, like, I need to protect my head, things are falling. So my TV fell, like some stuff that I have on like my shelf over there kind of fell. My printer, my textbooks, they just fell. Everything was just kind of like a mess. Um, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And um, if you live in Japan, you have to have an emergency bag. And I have had my emergency bag for some time, for years now with me. And I was like, get into action, get your cats into the bag. Because my emergency bag is on the way out of my apartment. So I was like, first, I need to, like, and so I call onto my cats. I I try to like grab what I can, get their bag, And I managed to get one of my cats into the bag, but the other one was kind of tough. And of course, the earth has stopped moving, but I was, of course, just like scared. I was like, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? And when I managed to get my other cat into the bag and like put on my shoes, got my emergency bag, um, and I was like, wait a minute. I opened the door and noticed no one else was kind of like panicking. Not that I was, but I hope this makes sense. Um, yeah, no. So I went downstairs and I noticed that some of the tiles of the building had like fallen to the ground. And, I go outside and it's like it's as though I just experienced the earthquake. I didn't see anybody. Well, I did see people outside, but it wasn't like they were like, oh, an earthquake. It was mostly like they were just doing their daily stuff, which is so weird to me because I thought that there'd be a whole bunch of people outside. So, of course, I texted my friends and, people I know. I'm like, are you guys safe? Should we evacuate? Because it looked to me like nobody was. And what I realized in that moment is that, um, the Japanese people have had drills where they, you know, okay, an earthquake is happening. What are you supposed to do? They know what to do. And you, as a foreigner, do know what to do, but it's not like I've had earthquake drills before. I have not. I have seen some drills online and I've seen some, information about what to do, but, in when you're not practicing something per se, your brain isn't going to like automatically do it because you have not been practicing that way despite you knowing it. And so yeah, I did. Then I was like, I don't care if nobody's evacuating. I don't care. I am going to the nearest because I know that there's an evacuation park near my place. And so I went there with my cats and my emergency bag, and I just stayed there for like an hour or something. And there were like three, four people. Some people came, some people left, and while I was in the park, there were some aftershocks. And even as I was like leaving, there was still some aftershocks. And it's so trippy because in my head, I'm like, is it just me now or is the earth actually moving? But yeah, I eventually got in contact with my Japanese mom, and she has cats as well. So that's another topic that I want to talk about. When you have pets and there's an earthquake or like a disaster, you do not evacuate to the same place as people that don't have pets would. And so making sure you know which evacuation places, centers to get, which shelters to get to when you have pets is very, very crucial. And thankfully, my Japanese mom had some information in regards to like the city Line chat. So here in Japan, Line is the app that they use the most for SNS, social networking sites. And so I I will put a QR code somewhere, and when you scan it, you can like they provide information in English, Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, of course, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and yeah, from there you can actually put the area that you live in, and it will show you the closest places that you can go to. And it will also show the places that are like pet friendly. It will also show if the place is vacant, if it's congested, if it's, it will tell you how many people are there as well. So I think depending on the prefecture you're in, there's probably something similar. But yeah, This earthquake happening in summer is not the best thing because it's extremely hot outside. And, like pets need that cooling, stuff. So making sure you find a shelter that has good air conditioning and everything in between is great. In terms of what I had in my emergency bag, it said that you have to have food and water for at least that you can live on or survive on for the next 72 hours. So rice is definitely a good go-to. Some noodles of course are great. However, when I think of noodles, I think of hot water and I'm like, when am I? But I know that if you're at home, you can like just microwave the hot water. Um, but then sometimes during these times, no electricity, there's no gas, working. So, get food that you know that you will be able to munch on during that time. Calorie mates, those energy drinks, I've forgotten the name. Um, some porcari sweat or like Aquarius, whichever you prefer, so long as it has like, the ions that you need. Water, of course, I was advised a long time ago and now as well to make sure that if you have a bathtub in your apartment, fill your bathtub up with water. And then I also, in my emergency bag, because you don't know when, like which season the earthquake is going to be happening in, I have one of those foils for like heat. I have extra toothbrushes, I have wet wipes, I have other wipes, I have a whole bunch of tissues. I have sweat wipes as well. I have some lotion and some soap, but just like tiny ones, travel size ones, of course. I have some first aid stuff, not a lot, just like some band-aids, things that can get me through. I have 3 bottles. I have 1 liter bottle, I mean a 2 liter bottle, but I also have smaller bottles as well because in some areas of Kumamoto the water is not safe to drink at the moment. So having clean water is good. Some of the convenience stores are open, which is great, but others are closed. So depending on the area that you live in, yeah, that can come in handy. But yes, I also brought in my purse, of course, I brought my health insurance card, my residence card. I did not bring my passport. However, I do think that maybe it would be important. Maybe, I don't know. But I know that you can also have a sheet, a paper. I'm gonna like put it in my description box where you can write your passport number, where you can write your name, your address, your telephone number, your birthday, your blood type, because those are important, your nationality, your passport number, residence card number. And these days you have my number card, so I guess put in the my number card. You can state if you have any allergies or illnesses, and also just because it's important to know this stuff beforehand. So knowing the closest emergency sites that you can get to, evacuation sites, sorry, that you can get to is great. Learning some Japanese or having a sheet that has important Japanese for you to like say when you're either hurt, when you're injured and you want to communicate that well, then yeah, so stuff like that. Also, the police number 110, the fire and ambulance number 119, knowing your nearest hospital, and just there's something else I was going to say. Yeah, I guess that's about it, probably. Oh, your embassy as well, knowing your embassy, like where your embassy is. So, yeah. So In general, this is I was very scared. It was a very scary thing to experience. I do not want to experience it again. However, they do say that we should be prepared and expecting, a whole bunch of aftershocks. I think today overnight, I remember in the morning they said that we've already experienced like 100 and something aftershocks. I remember waking up in the night because the earth was shaking at some points, and I was feeling restless, but I did get enough sleep. Well, I did get some sleep, enough sleep at the time, but I feel tired at the moment. Um, you know, Making sure you have spare clothes, spare underwear in your emergency bag is also good, I think, in my opinion. And for the ladies, your pads or your tampons or your what is it called? That. Anyway. So, yeah, I am safe as of now, and I'm thankful that I am safe, that the lights are still on, that water is still running, that I'm not hot. Um, yeah, but yes, please keep Kumamoto in your prayers. Um, the last time I checked, 13 people had died. Some of you may already know that there was an explosion that took place a couple hours after the earthquake at a mall that is pretty big here. I like that mall. But yeah, and 2 people have been confirmed dead, one in a very critical condition, and 5 injured. And, it's just praying for their families, their friends, they themselves that are injured, of course. Yeah, and just all the people that have lost their homes. I know that one hospital kind of like the lights went out, so they had to be transferred to other hospitals. Things like that are very critical. So, yeah, just praying that another one does not occur, because what happened 10 years ago is that one did happen, and then a day later on the 16th. So one happened on the 14th, and then on the 16th there was another of equal size, if not of equal seismic activity, if not like higher. I'm not sure. And so just pray that we, stay safe, that the families are all safe, all okay, and that, yeah, 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 that despite everything that is happening, that people can see that God is good, and remembering that God is sovereign above all of these. And I know not everyone that watches this video will agree with that opinion, but that is something that I truly believe. So agree with that opinion, yeah, because for you it is my opinion, but for me it is a belief. Anyway, so yeah, I guess that is all for this video. I think I explained everything that I wanted to say. Part of me is kind of like going back and thinking at like how what's the word, people here already know what to do, and so like seeing people just slowly do that was kind of impressive, but at the same time it was just kind of like interesting, because I did see some people that looked like officials and whatnot, but no one came to be like, hey, are you, given that I am obviously a foreigner. But I mean, this is something we need to educate ourselves on when we choose to come to this country. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, they should have. No. It was something that I observed when they say that it's a low context. Is it low context or high context country? I forget. But yeah, because I remember just, going to the park, and then eventually later I went to my Japanese mom's place, and that's like an hour away. I walked there because traffic was insane. I just gradually saw how the traffic went from like, oh, just one car, and then a whole bunch of cars in like very slow movements and whatnot. But no one was honking at another person. There was none of that. It was just this calm sort of like, I wouldn't say panic, but yeah. So that was very interesting. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of, I will put maybe some footage of how yesterday looked, and from afar you'd just be like, oh, what a lovely day. But then an earthquake had happened, and in my brain I find it so crazy that um, we have, I experienced this earthquake here in this city, Kumamoto city, and yet 13 others have died, and I am here still. And it's just very like, it's crazy to think of sometimes. So please continue praying for the safety of everybody else here in this city, and just for Japan in general, because earthquakes are very much a thing. So yeah, that is that. I'm safe. It's currently 17:21, and I hope I can sleep tonight and I can get good rest, and that there is no earthquake, no strong earthquake during the night. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day or night wherever you are. Stay safe, and that's about it. Okay, bye.